Give me just a second to tell you just how amazing God is. I've been in Puerto Rico for about 5 months. When I got here, I spoke no Spanish. And when I moved here, I told God, I said, I didn't want to come here because I didn't have a community of believers. Like, I finally found a church home, back at home. And I felt like he was uprooting me to be in a place where I have to start all the way over. So when I got here, one of the things I looked for was a church. But each time I'd find a church online, I'd get in my head. By the time Sunday come, I say, you know what, I don't speak the language, I'm not going to understand it, and I'm going to be alone. Like, I start getting in my head. I was like, I don't have a car. Like, I'm telling myself all these excuses. Well, I'd been in class for about 3 months. This girl had been sitting next to me the whole time, but I never saw her, never spoke to her or anything. And one day the teacher, he ended up putting us in a big group, and we start talking. They asked me about my experience moving here, and it was a pretty bad experience. So out of compassion, she took me to lunch, we started talking, and then she saw this tattoo. And she said, I usually don't ask people these questions, but she starts asking me my denomination, what I believe in, and this and that. And she was like, would you like to come to church with me? I said, absolutely. Because at this point in time, I had been begging God for a community of believers. So there's this church I tell her that I had been interested in, and she's like, girl, I go there, so we're definitely going. So I'm like, okay, this is a sign from God, you know? Because it's the same church that I've been wanting to go to. We get there, I kid you not, the church is predominantly in Spanish, but for this particular day that I happened to show up, they do the sermon in English. So we look at each other, we're like, God is so funny, he has a sense of humor, because this was stopping me from coming, right? So the sermon was amazing. We did an altar call, I went to the altar, like, I had gotten filled up with so much of the Lord. That day impacted me so much. But so I kept on going, right? Now, it's been 2.5 months, and I made a really good friend here, and I invited her to church, and she actually ended up coming. Now, in these 2.5 months, my Spanish has developed only in church. I don't know what it is, but I understand sermons in Spanish. And I write my notes in English, but I understand the sermon in Spanish, and I understand the songs. And so when we first realized that I was understanding, like, me and my friend here that took me to church, we were like, oh my gosh, like, it was just shocking. It was shocking, because I can't have a conversation to save my life in Spanish. But when I invited my friend, after 5 months of being here, to come to church, she was sitting next to me, and she said she could hear me speak and pray and sing in Spanish. I'm actually fluent when it comes to singing and praying in Spanish. And I noticed it too one day, and I told God, I said, I really hope you understood what I said, because I don't speak Spanish, but I feel like I just spoke Spanish to you this whole prayer. But I'm not crazy. So fast forward a couple of days ago, I was scrolling on TikTok, and there was this man who, he said he didn't speak Portuguese, but God called him to go to Brazil. And he ended up getting a opportunity to do a mission trip, and he said he couldn't go because of the funds. God supplied him with more than he needed. Then he said he didn't speak the language. He found him a translator. He brought the translator with him to Brazil, and on the way there to go minister, he heard God say, you won't need a translator. And so he ended up getting out the car by himself, started walking around and praying for people in Portuguese. Again, doesn't speak Portuguese, has been trying to learn, but he's saving lives. And I say all this to say that when we talk about God being omnipresent God, because I've come in here multiple times and I said that he is everywhere, right? You cannot escape him. But I don't think I understood the concept of how much of an omnipresent he was until I uprooted myself from one place and did not speak the language and got to see who God was in Latin America. Because the same God they worship is the same God that I worship. The same language that I speak, they speak to him in a different language, but it's still the same God. And everything that I was concerned about, not being able to speak, not having a ride, God showed up and showed out. And all of a sudden I speak Spanish. And all of a sudden I can save souls in 2 languages. I think that's so cool. But you know why? Because he's the God who hears. He's Ishmael. And now when I pray by myself too, I speak Spanglish. So that goes to show you that not only was he listening, but he's a miracle worker, because I didn't speak any Spanish before I got here.